In this video, we try and predict what could happen in chapter 989 of the One Piece manga and onwards. In my opinion, chapter 988 was so awesome, I didn't think it could surpass the hype from the previous chapter 987. I think that the drawback was that nothing much happened and that it was super short. But anyway, we saw the Sulong forms of the Guardians and the Musketeers, and I am stoked from seeing those transformations. And I'm still waiting on the Sulong transformation of Nekomamushi and Inuarashi because that would be awesome. Just imagine a white Sulong creature that loves lasagna. Nyan 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 nyan. Lasagna. But anyway, let's get right into the video, shall we? Obviously, the story could take a lot of directions from here, but let's try and guess, and I'll make this as quick as possible for each character so that we can limit the whole video within 10 minutes. And let's start with Luffy. I think that Luffy has a few courses of action here. He could take a beeline for the All Stars, which is unlikely, but it's still possible. He could go up top and confront Kaido with the MINKS and the Scabbards. Or, since his crew might be in danger with Big Mom right there, he focuses on her. And I think that this has the highest chance of happening, and I'm actually hoping for it. We were snubbed from the Big Mom and Luffy fight back in Whole Cake Island, so this might be redemption. And Luffy is about to get his chance to run at Big Mom. Next, we have Zoro. We haven't seen him get lost yet, and after a month of hoping that Zoro gets lost, I'm still hoping. But hear me out. I think it's the perfect time for Zoro to get lost because he could reappear conveniently in a dire situation and then take over, saving the day for whoever was in trouble because of his perfect navigation skills. A situation where Zoro could turn up for could be Sanji versus King. I know that Sanji can take care of himself, but we saw Luffy reacting to how Sanji took a hit, and he might be out to help Sanji. So as soon as King reaches for his sword, Zoro might turn up and take the fight away from Sanji. Because Zoro's competitiveness might take over and ask Sanji for the fight against King. And speaking of Sanji, I'm sure he's fine, but with Queen free right there, he could try and take on Queen. In a way, he's similar to both King and Queen. King with his kicks, speed, flying ability, and fire manipulation, and with Queen because of their use of technology. Now, because Sanji now has his raid suit, and we've seen Queen tinker with some stuff before, so I'm assuming that Queen is more of a strategist, just like Sanji is, which could lead to a great matchup between Queen and Sanji after all. Now, we haven't seen Usopp and Chopper yet, but since they were rushing towards the activity hall, it's safe to assume that they're going to provide exceptional backup for everybody before Usopp fights with anyone, and most likely he fights with the Numbers or Black Maria, and possibly the Oniwa Banshu. For Chopper, however, we're gonna dive deep here. I think that after Frankie kicks Usopp and Chopper out of the Brachio tank, Chopper will beat some of the fodder up before matching with Ulti or some other Tobiropo level character or maybe the Oniwa Banshu. And then he could start treating the wounded. I still think that the Sulong transformation is too early. So they might become a great ally for right now, but they could suffer the consequences way too early in the fight, becoming a burden in the long term. And I'm sure that Kaido is going to capitalize on this. Even though the Minks are going to deal a lot of damage to Jack and everyone else, but to Kaido, however, that is a big question mark. So Chopper might need to provide emergency treatment for everybody, especially considering how the Beast Pirates used poison gas before in Zou. So who is to say that they can't use it again in Onigashima, right? Because using it in Onigashima, that's like killing 23 birds with one stone. Talk about being efficient, right? Because that's the 10 Straw Hats, Law, and Kid, the 9 Scabbards, including Izo, Marco, and lastly, Big Mom and Perospero. Those are still big kills from Kaido if he ever manages to take down Big Mom and Perospero along with everybody else using the poison gas. Because they might be allies right now with Kaido, but Perospero seems adamant about his refusal for this alliance, and Kaido has continuously reminded us about the betrayal among pirates. I'm not sure if you've heard of this theory before somewhere else, but I'm making this whole video up as I go along, so I just thought about this theory right here. So, with Chopper around, since he's dealt with the poison gas before, they could have prepared an antidote for this war. And that might turn the tide, because that might be needed in the middle of the fight, right? But now for Frankie, since he was the MVP of the last chapter, I think that Big Mom will finally receive a win from Oda. I think it's about time for a Big Mom to get a clear win. She's been taking a lot of losses since Fishman Island, really. And a retaliation on Frankie and the others near him, or her rather, would be a great start, forcing Luffy to fight her in the process of hurting Luffy's nakama, and making Luffy the underdog in the eyes of the viewer as a result, because I think that Big Mom would beat Luffy up for a while. Because that's how Oda usually portrays Luffy, as the underdog. So Luffy needs to lose somehow first. But anyway, the biggest benefit of those things happening is that Big Mom will ultimately regain her status in the opinion of the fans. Hopefully, it's around 80% restored because I doubt that it would be fully restored in the eyes of the fans. Since we haven't seen Robin and Jinbei yet, I think it's safe to assume that they'll be helping out on the upcoming chapters. They were near Big Mom, so I'm assuming that they do whatever they can to stop her from doing too much damage to their friends and their allies. But they could get hurt in the process. Then Robin will help with Black Maria, and as for Jinbei, I was expecting him to fight with Jack, and I still do. But since Jack is stargazing, that might be put on hold for a while Jinbei deals with Big Mom along with Luffy. Because I'm considering the possibility of Big Mom holding a grudge against Jinbei as well, they could have a little exchange before the big fights happen. Now, Brook had cut Zeus in half again. I can't imagine Big Mom sitting quietly in the corner next chapter, especially since Big Mom likes Brook. I would imagine that her desire to place Brook back in her collection is still very much alive and should be sparked the moment she recognizes him. So I think that Brook might take an L in the upcoming chapter, but I hope that Brook matches up with Sasaki, although Sasaki might still be tied up outside, so that might take a while. I don't know if Carrot is able to see the moon from her angle because when Big Mom was looking towards the hole that Kaido made, the sky seemed so clear. So I think that the Sulong transformation of Carrot would be put on hold until later in the war. It should become an ace in the hole with a much better timing and an awesome build up as usual. She might end up helping with Big Mom for a while before she takes on Fodder and the Onowabanshu. I have a feeling that the Minks would leave the other Scabbards to fend for themselves after the duration of their Sulong forms, and they would get beaten by Kaido. Some of them might fall down below, and they could be shaded from the moonlight, so they could recover from their Sulong transformation. Then they could help out after regaining some of their stamina, just like Carrot did after her quick nap in the Sunny. So Denjiro, Shutenmaru, Kiko, Izo, Kawamatsu, Raizo, and Kinemon might have to deal with Jack and Kaido on their own for a while before realizing just how fearsome Kaido really is in battle. I'm pretty sure that Kaido would beat them up if that's all of the force that they would take him on with, until some of the more heavy hitters like Luffy, Zoro, Sanji maybe even Marco join their fight. Now, for Kid and Killer, I think that they'll target Kaido, but I still hope that Kid spends more time defeating Apu. Law might have his hands full trying to take Big Mom on as well as some of the other samurai, but what I really would like to see next, aside from Nekomamushi's transformation, is Beppo's. I wonder if he would retain his cute and cuddly look, or would he just be a total monster? That's something to see. But anyway, in chapter 987, I think it was Hawkins that was with Law, and this might be his declaration of the rebellion, so he could join the fight against Kaido, but maybe not with Big Mom. We still haven't seen Drake for a long while, and I'm completely convinced that he is relaying the information about the Yonko Alliance to Kobe already. So, I'm expecting some Marines or maybe CP0 by the end of the war or maybe just near it. Of course, it could be CP0 that would make a move rather than Marines because they could try and steal some of the weapons they needed in Wano. So it's either the Marines or CP0 but not both. I'm still hoping that Drake fights with Frankie for a while so that Frankie learns hockey. And I think that Marco might have to deal with some notable characters for a while, somebody like King, or maybe even Perospero. Not physically, I think that they struck a deal with each other. So that might last until Marco decides to fight with maybe Big Mom, or more probably Kaido. Perospero, on the other hand, would side with Big Mom and back her up, and probably fight with the Straw Hats, some of Kaido's crew, but I'm thinking now that Perospero is actually here to save Big Mom from being captured by the Marines in the end. And I'm open to this happening, really. I'm totally expecting Queen to make a move in the next few chapters because all that he'd been doing is comedic relief. He's always shocked and sticking his tongue out, so a fight with Sanji in his dinosaur form would be perfect. And that's where we end the predictions video for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Crush like if you did, as if you were the one transforming into your Sulong form. Rah! And if you love One Piece, subscribe to the channel so it could grow. Hit the notifications button because on the next video we talk about Brook. So, as always, stay safe now. Peace!